Welcome to Trial by Wine. We take a closer look at crimes that highlight how fascinating humans can be. Schmitty, Swanny and Clarkey visit crimes and run them through their jury of three, debating both sides of the case to agree an appropriate, if totally fictitious, sentence. Please be advised, Trial by Wine may include explicit or disturbing content and will include drunken rambling. Listener discretion is advised. All right, how are we?
We're good.
Bad.
We're alive and kicking. How are you?
Swanny?
I'm good, thank you. I just injured myself coming up to the
Studio.
podcast.
She's had a what one would call a workplace injury.
I have.
Coming
I was
up
carrying
the
something. I don't know what
stairs?
happened. Schmitty said, "Did you fall down the stairs?" I said, "No, I kind of was walking up them. I didn't even fall over, but my knee just went crunch, and then my ligaments hurt. So I've just gone and had a couple of Nurofen. So hopefully I'll be all right. I'll either be much better after this or much worse. So we'll see."
What a trooper.
Well, I took some Voltaren and some paracetamol before we started because I've been sat at the computer all day editing, and so I find I stiffen up. But yeah, I'm good. Good.
And what's happening at your place, boys?
Yeah, boys. What
Anything
have you been up
special
to?
this
Well, someone had a birthday today.
Ah, hip,
Just
hip, hip.
lol
Happy
me.
birthday to you.
Just a quick one.
Good on you, Woo.
Thank you very much.
And did you have some drinks?
Yesterday we had drinks.
Right.
So we did Paul put, how long was it? 15-hour lamb shoulder.
Oh, yum.
It was delicious. Yeah,
Very
with
yummy.
Greek
Lemon potatoes.
lemon potatoes.
Oh, wow.
They are
Yeah, yum,
delicious. First time making them, so they came out a treat.
Real treat.
All right.
Real treat. What do you call that, love? It's a real treat.
Icing sugar.
Oh.
Sponge
with
cake.
ice.
Put some lemon on
Rissoles, doll.
that.
Rissoles.
I was sorry, but just go sponge cake.
There's a
Yeah, but what'd you put on it?
What have you-
Icing
What have
sugar.
you done to it? Dusted it with icing sugar.
there's a meme going around or whatever else, and you've probably seen it. But it's a young guy talking to an elderly man in a Bunnings, and he clearly doesn't work there, but he's pretending he's working there, and he's saying, "Oh, yeah, here are the tape measures or whatever else." He goes, "Oh, but don't take that one because don't take the ones with the black dots on it." And the man's like, "What? Why?" And he said, "Oh, me and Rissole," and that's his mate. Apparently, he was. What is it called? A cock off, where they were measuring their penis. And the old man's like, "Oh, you're joking, you know? Oh, no." He goes, "Oh, no, we weren't joking." Like, but it was very funny. But the thing that I find the most endearing about it, he goes, "Oh, me and Rissole,
Me and Rissole.
we were having a cock off." And I'm like, "Oh, goodness me!" I'll have to send it to you. Someone just sent it to you before. I think.
Fuck off.
Buying any tape measures today. Just be careful around the 3 to 4 centimetre mark. There's a few black markers because me and Rissole, we've been having cock-offs.
They've been having cock-offs.
Me and Rissole. Oh my god! I don't know why it entertains me so much. I think it. I'm just sad, really. I know.
So I suppose we should introduce ourselves. I'm Schmitty.
I'm Swanny.
And I'm Clarkey. And together we are
Trial
by
by
Wine.
And what
Yes.
are we drinking?
Well, we're on the soda water at the moment, but we do
Oh,
have
that's how bad it was.
a little red to
Oh, nice.
get to shortly. Just a little one of our own. What about you two?
Oh, I'm on the soda water too, by the way.
Soda water, right?
Yeah. Well, for now,
Okay.
but maybe something a little later.
Fair enough.
What about
Oh.
you, Schmitty?
I have got a soda water with some Diet Right cordial in it, but I've cheered it up with some Absolute vodka. So
Oh.
having a little
Lovely.
sort of vodka and orange type thing. Tony is sat next to me today, and he is joining us also just to have a listen in, and he is drinking B. Francois. It's a Blanc de Blanc. Is it from Limo? It's a Limo Blanc de Blanc.
Oh, it's
which is
delicious.
I can't help
very
think
nice.
plonk to plonk when you do blanc de blanc.
It is a bit of a plonk to plonk, but it's drinkable. We had it at our wedding, and we drank
And
a lot of it.
everyday wine.
It is a bit of an everyday wine, yes. All right, so who's got a story for us?
I do.
All right, go for it.
Ooh.
Woohoo.
Now, before I start
Is
this
this
story,
a fatty murder?
it's not.
Sorry, Swanny
A
was
what?
saying
Oh, Jeremy reckons every time he walks past me researching one that it's only heavy people that are killing. And he goes, oh, what is it? Episode 95 of Fatty Murderers. I was like, it's so rude. And he goes, and then he goes, I think you'll find that there's a high proportion of fat people. You're not going to play any of this.
Hang on, fat people who get murdered or fat people who murder?
Who do the murdering, he reckons.
Nonsense.
I don't think
that's
so
not
either.
been the experience at all.
Not at all.
Is
You wait till Rissole finds out
is
about that
Lizzo a
comment.
murderer?
You're just winding me up.
Don't you worry. I'm going to tell
I'm getting
Wiggers
ready.
that.
I'm getting ready for
She'll
something.
be
One of those
angry.
things.
Wiggers.
I sent in Wiggers round to see him on that one. She'll
Don't
be
start
very
with
cross.
Wiggers. I've still got Shea Panda giving me grief in the bloody Cubby Kindy car park. That dog is onto me, I'm telling you. The mummy was like putting it into its, back seat. It's looking over at her shoulder at me. The woman doesn't know me, didn't look at me, but Shea Panda was.
Giving you the eye.
Shea Panda's got your number.
She's not a happy dog, that Shea Panda, like Rip, or whatever you call it, doppelganger.
The real
She's
Shea
not-
Panda was
The real
a
Shea
happy
Panda's
dog.
gorgeous, but this other one's a bit of.
I wonder
I
if
reckon
it's
there's
angry.
Wiggers somehow connected.
I was going to say, I wonder if the Shea Panda's
She's
name's
channeling Wigger.
Wiggers.
I think it is.
Wiggers of the Shea Panda world.
Maybe Wiggers can transform from human form to Shea Panda
Shapeshifter.
form.
Yeah.
Oh,
Get
far
it.
out.
Truth stretcher.
Truth stretcher.
I was
Truth
going to say,
stretcher.
truth stretching now. Yeah.
All
right,
right, so
what have you
I
got
do
for
have a
us?
story, and the only sort of prerequisites that I had when I went looking for a story was I just
Was
thought,
the murderer
given what
had
we're
to be
looking at-
fat?
No,
Sorry.
I was like, I didn't want any sexual assault in it because I just think,
Oh,
oh my God, the
nice.
last couple of weeks, months have just been harrowing. That was one thing I thought I'm not prepared to look into a crime that features in heavily. Although it's one of those things that sometimes you start looking and it's everywhere. So there was that, and I thought no sex workers because I'm so tired of having to defend these poor people who are on the sort of fringes of our society.
Or
That
just
I thought
speak for
we've
them
done a lot
'cause
of
other
that
people
lately.
don't.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I also thought I didn't really have the appetite for a serial killer either. So
So it's going to be a short
it's murder
episode.
light.
Is it a story about Winona Ryder shoplifting?
No, it's about little Phil's next adventure when he tries to Oh, sorry, I know. What do you call it?
Phil.
I literally just edited that
Schmitty's
this
not a
morning,
fan of little
and
Phil.
I'm like, I'm listening to myself going, no, I hate him. And you're like, you're not having it. I'm like, no, I'm not having it at all. He's a dickhead.
He's a dickhead.
Yeah.
Nothing but
So
a dickhead.
we're not quite little Phil territory, and actually no, there's definitely a murder, and there's enough heinous stuff that comes with it, but it's just
It's not as
it's not
vile
the same
as some
territory,
other
but
things.
yeah.
Not gruesome.
Oh
or
no,
nothing.
it is. Actually, no, I said, why do I set myself up like this? Every time I say something like this, it proves to be the opposite.
Yeah.
Scrap everything I've said, everybody. Sit back and just listen.
To the happy little tale.
My sources are Florida Union Times, allthat'sinteresting.com, newsforjacks.com,
That's a new one.
and
Is that only for people named Jack? Is that why it's used for Jacks?
I'm a bit embarrassed to say that I didn't actually know what it meant to start with, and I thought, why is that website called that? And it was referring to Jacksonville in Florida.
Ah, right.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know that time, but I worked
It's a
it out.
Florida story.
Correct. And
That's
then the
one of our
final
favourite
source,
places in the world.
oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, is from a documentary series called Snapped. So this crime is set in Florida, in part of Florida that's right. I've never been to this part of Florida, but I've sort of seen it on lots of sort of television programs, and it's right up the very top of Florida. In fact, I think it's the last town or sort of county before you get to Georgia. And the way it is, it's an island. Although it doesn't sit separately, it looks more like an estuary, what I would call an estuary kind of thing. And it's called
Fantasy Island.
It's called Fantasy
The
Island.
bling.
It's called Fernandina Beach.
Thank you.
It sits above Jacksonville, and it's in Nassau County. But where the town is, it's actually really small, and it's a place where everybody knows everybody. And I imagine it's the kind of place you've got to travel somewhere to get to it, and you'd have to travel the same way back. It's not like you could get there from Georgia, although Georgia's just above it. It's a little bit out of the way. So that's where it's set, and the story starts where it's a weekend, and a mother makes a call to the local police department to say that she believes her daughter's missing. Now, her daughter's 34 years old, and her daughter should have collected her 3 children. She's calling because her daughter has not met her ex-husband to collect the children who've been with him for a week. Now, that's particularly odd because she's a very reliable woman, but also it happens to be Mother's Day and it also happens to be her birthday. And that woman is 34-year-old Joleen Cummings. So this starts, a series of events whereby they start to look into where could this woman be. She is known to be a really, wonderful, caring mother, totally, her kids are totally her priority. And her husband actually calls the mother-in-law and says, Jolene hasn't turned up to the kids. Where is she at? What's going on? Where is she? So
She didn't have, auburn hair and eyes beyond compare. Flaming locks of auburn hair.
No, not quite. But Jolene Jensen had been born in 1984, 13th of May, as I said. So that's the date, 13th of May, that she has not turned up to collect her kids. She was a joyful, energetic person who had a large circle of friends, and by all accounts, she thought she certainly had a nice life. She had grown up in Ferdinand Beach, and she had left there to go and study cosmetology. And she was gone.
A thing?
Oh yeah,
yes,
it's a thing. Where I get confused, what it actually is I'm not sure if it's entirely one thing or another. What I thought it would be was sort of more makeup, but I think it's actually hair and makeup and
cosmetology is.
It's not just because.
What did you think it was?
I thought it had something to do with the cosmos.
Oh, you
no!
No,
it's
it's
like beauty
makeup.
school.
It's beauty
Oh,
school.
you fool! I don't think I'm the only one who thought that when.
You are.
Maybe
you are the only one on
that
this
is-
call who
yeah.
thought that.
Yeah, well,
Cosmetology. But
our
doesn't
listeners
it
are gonna
always
send you
reminds
an
me of
email.
the Pons Institute? Do you remember the Pons Institute?
The Pons
Yep.
Institute,
Yeah.
yes.
So
yes.
I remember when, I was a young 20-something going out in Sydney, my then flatmate and I used to tell people that when they'd say, where do you study, or whatever, we'd always tell people that we're at the Pons Institute. I only could tell guys, I believe, the Pons Institute. Anyway, so she's gone off to the Pons Institute to study, let's say. And she'd moved away for a couple of years. And while she was there, she was in a relationship, but it failed. But it did result in her having a daughter. So she returned some years later to I can't say it for some reason, Fernandina Beach. And she returned a single mother. But she had a really nice relationship with her mum, and I don't think it was a big deal. She just came back and she had her skills, and she was employed in a local salon, which was called Tangles. So Tangles Salon in Fernandina Beach. And then I've seen the people who worked there interviewed, and they would describe it as a very family-like salon. They would, a lot of them had worked there for many years. It was a real sort of like a real family of people who worked together and looked out for each other and were friends at work and outside of work as well. She used social media a lot, and she also used it as a really effective tool in getting new clients.
Yeah, marketing. Yep.
Correct. She was heavily booked, really, really busy. And as a result, her colleagues said she was making quite good money because she was always busy. Always. They said she was, easily the busiest one, always booked. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that she knew how to promote what she could do. And that was, why she was so successful.
She was good at doing a bit of marketing at the same time as good at doing whatever she did. Built up her client base.
Yeah.
Did she put on her Facebook a sign saying, just look for the big pair of hairy legs?
With the clippers in between.
I've forgotten the name. What was it? Chanel? No.
Chanel. Health and Beauty.
House of...
And Beauty. Institute de Beauté.
Sounds like the Pons Institute to me.
Yeah.
So in around 2012, 2013, Joleen met Jason Cummings and they married. And in 2013, they had their first son together. And then in 2015, another son was born. However, whilst she was very much sort of focused on the kids and had, a really sort of quite wonderful relationship with, she loved being a mother, the marriage was breaking down. So by 2017, Jason Cummings and Joleen were separated. The kids always lived with her and they would visit their dad. After she'd separated from Jason Cummings, she did finally begin dating him, but she kind of kept it to herself because...
She had two small kids by this time. It would have been...
one older one.
Three,
She had the
So
daughter
three,
from that she'd
yeah.
come back with.
I was thinking about the boys. But
and then her boys with...
But they were quite young, so you'd spend all your time looking after little kids.
Yeah.
The kids. You're not really out there.
Oh, look, I imagine she's pretty busy if you think about it. She's working full time, got kids.
She ain't got time for love.
She ain't got no time for that. But anyway, so she begins dating again.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
She gets it very private, but there's clearly someone new on the scene, and she's sort of a little bit coy about the work, but that her colleagues say that they can tell that, you know, she's got butterflies, and actually she's
got a
just
glow about
genuinely
her.
very happy. She's happy with work. Her career's sort of flourishing as a result of being busy all the time and using social media as such an effective tool. She's obviously adores her children. She really enjoys the role of motherhood the most, and she's happy to have sort of a new love, and you know, everything sort of seems to be falling into place.
She's not expecting to be horrifically murdered, which is about to
No.
happen.
And
That's
then
Which is obviously when we arrive at the 14th of May, when she's nowhere to be found, and it's just totally out of character for her not to have turned up. So the first person to notice her absence and where the police start is obviously her estranged husband, Joleen Cummings. And they're still going through their divorce, but the final custody agreement has yet to be set. So they take him in and interview him at length. Same time, they go back to the last place she was seen. The last place she was seen was Tangle's hair salon, and they speak to her colleagues. So Joleen had actually worked there for several years. There was a woman there called Anne Morgan. Anne Morgan had been there for 10 years, so she knew Joleen really well. There was a fairly recent woman who'd called Jennifer Seibert, and she'd only been there for, I think, a couple of months. And it was Joleen and Jennifer who had closed up on that Saturday afternoon after working, and they'd closed up around 5 p.m. And when they checked, they couldn't find Joleen's car wasn't at work either, so they really don't know where she is. There's no sign of her car or where she was.
So she's left work in her car when she was last seen?
Perhaps, we don't know. At this point, we don't know.
But the car's just
not there.
gone
The car's
and she's
not there.
gone. Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, she's gone.
But she drove to work.
Yes, she and the car are no longer there.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Right, yes, we're all caught up. Right.
So the police
She goes, okay, like my mum. So, yes,
Okay,
right,
we're
right.
good.
Yeah.
So the police attempt to ping her phone, but it's not working. It's obviously turned off. So that's not working. There is a security camera in the salon, but it's not working. They check her bank account and they check her social media, which, as I've mentioned before, she used extensively. Nothing. So that's not looking good.
No money in the bank account, you mean?
No. They call Jennifer Seibert, who is the last person that she was with, the person she worked with, and say to her, you know, did she talk to you about, were you close with her? Did she talk to you about any plans that she had for the weekend? And Jennifer sort of says, look, the answer is no. No, I wasn't close to her. No, I don't know what she's doing this weekend. But equally, I can't be involved in any police investigation. I'm sort of in witness protection as such. I'm trying, well, not witness protection, but I'm trying to stay out of any public forum because I have a former boyfriend who's a stalker. He's a computer expert, and basically I'm on the run from him, and my name cannot be made public anymore. So I just can't be involved. I can't be involved.
She's
They're
on the
like,
lam.
where they're saying we're not trying to
lam.
tell you, you know, we don't. That's not about that. We're just trying to find
This
Joleen.
isn't about
So can
you,
you help us?
Jennifer.
It's not about
Put
you.
your head
Exactly.
in. Yeah.
Anyway,
Next, she'll be telling her she's in special ops.
The next step, they have the detectives then try and delve a little bit deeper into Joleen's background. And they didn't have to go very far because on the 9th of May, so earlier that week, they had a police report whereby a gentleman called Jason G.
Oh.
There'd been a little bit of a ruckus. And Jason G is the new
Is
boyfriend.
G-double-E or is that just
Correct,
his initial?
G-double-E.
Right.
I thought it was like Kenny
I thought
G.
it was like a rapper or something.
No.
Yeah.
So there's the two Jasons. There's Jason Cummings.
Yes. I was confused by
husband,
Cummings.
And Jason
Yeah.
G is the boyfriend.
Jason
But
Goings.
She and Jason had a bit of an altercation on the 9th, whereby Jason had turned up at her house and asked if he could spend the night, and she'd said no, and then there was a fracas or whatever else. So the police turned up.
Fracas.
Fracas. Jeez.
Oh, and then there was a bit of a set
But,
to.
you know, there was not much more than that.
Okay.
So when the police did go to Joleen's house, they did say that they found her house in a state of disarray.
Has there
So
been a fracas?
there'd been a fracas.
Yeah.
There were holes in the wall. The cupboard doors
Oh,
were
I don't
hanging
like
off
that.
hinges, and it was a
Oh,
total
no.
mess. And I've seen photographs of it, and it was a
Oh,
bomb
no.
site.
Gosh.
My tenants had been there. Yeah.
So when they spoke to Jason G about that and said, look, we've been to Jolene's house, something had happened there, you know what? And he said, oh, no, it was already like that. So I don't know if that's the case or not. But I've seen him just say, oh, that wasn't because of that. Nothing happened
got-
that
yeah.
night. We had a little bit of a to-do, but no, her
No,
house
the
was
house
completely
always
that.
looks like
normal.
that, yeah.
It was a little bit of a mess, shall we say?
Did anyone else report that her house was normally like that? Or was it just Kenny G's brother?
That was just Jason G.
Right.
And the house it looked like a demountable building when I saw images of
A
it. It was
demountable building. By that, do you mean
a trailer.
a trailer? Yes.
I don't know,
Or-
actually. I don't know if it was a trailer, but it was. When I looked at it, I thought, oh, it's not
It's a portable house.
It's
It's
got
a
no
portable
wheels.
yeah,
like
it
one
was-
of
it was
those
quite
that you
small.
see
It looked
half
like a block.
of them going up the road on a truck and the other half
Yes.
on a second truck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway,
Okay.
whatever it was, I saw the inside of it, and it was a mess.
She was busy. She didn't have time to do the housekeeping. She had the kids to worry about. She
Yeah.
had her work to worry about.
Who's punching
She's
holes
busy.
in the walls? That's what I want.
That's a good question.
That is
Yeah,
the question. Yeah.
Jason G. There's a bit of a question mark over him, but they obviously need to look at.
There's a question mark from me over Jason G too,
Yeah,
because I can't help but think he's a rapper or
yeah.
a
He
DJ
really
or
not.
something.
I'll go into a little bit more detail, but he really isn't.
Failed clarinet player.
And they also go back and look at Jason Cummings, obviously, because they're going through a divorce, and that obviously is quite often
it's
all you need to trigger one of these things.
unfortunately-
Unfortunately, yeah.
It's usually someone you know, but yeah.
When he is interviewed, he admits that they've had arguments. He said they were never violent. And he was very, very helpful. He gave them his phone because he was saying, like, here's all my records. He had an alibi
Nothing to hide.
for where he's. And remember, he had the kids up until a certain point.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it's not that he couldn't have done it. I mean, but the kids were with him. It's the mother of his children, all that kind of stuff. So, which sometimes is all it takes to trigger somebody. But
Yeah, I was going to say, and therefore he could have been
Absolutely.
meticulously planned.
But they did search his car and they did go through his phone, and there was nothing that they could find in the car or on the phone that was suspicious.
Yeah.
And Jason Cummings said to the police when he was interviewed, have you interviewed the new guy? And they're like, what do you know about the new guy? He said, look, I know there is a new guy. He said, I'm getting texts of people to say that they think he's a bad guy. And, have you guys looked into that? So the police, start looking into Jason G. It turns out Jason G is
An ex-con?
or he's on probation.
Right.
So he doesn't want to be brought in to talk to them even.
It's not-
So he's
it's
avoid
not-
them because he'd be
It's not
probation violation.
Jennifer's
Probation.
ex-boyfriend, is it?
Jennifer.
Isn't Jennifer the one who's on the lam from her
Oh.
violent ex-boyfriend?
No. I've got to do
Right,
what
right,
He's
right.
weaseled
Good,
his way.
nice
yeah, that would have
connection.
been such a good connection.
No.
if I
Would
got
have
that.
been.
Oh.
But Jason G was just ducking and diving.
Can I just say
sorry?
there are too many people with J names in this story, and I'm getting very confused.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to give him a new name?
Jennifer, Jolene, Jason, and Jason. Is that where we're at? the moment?
Jason.
Is
That's
that-
true, actually. That's true.
on,
And it
can-
doesn't help that Jason's name is G,
It's
second
Ja-
name is G. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's spelt differently, but still.
And in the context of this story, it should be Jason J.
Jason J.
That's
Jason J.
Everyone's J.
Anyway, so our friend Jason G was really scared because he was going to, be breaking, violating probation. So when they would call him, he'd hang up. When they turn up his house, he wouldn't be there. He was just hiding from it. And they eventually found him hiding under boxes in his cousin's bedroom or something.
How old is he? Like 12?
Probably 30. I don't know. In his late 20s.
Wow.
I don't know.
Right.
And when they were interviewing him, they were like, what happened? And he said, look, we had been in touch after the argument. Yes, we did have an argument, but I was texting her on Saturday afternoon. They're like, at what time? And he said, the last text I think was probably around 3:50 on Saturday afternoon. They said, oh, okay, then, well, are you happy for us to look at your phone? He went, oh, I don't have my phone. And he was like, well, where is your phone? He goes, I don't know. It's either at the house where they'd found him, which was a cousin's house, or someone else's house. And they said, well, can't we call it? He said, oh, no, I've taken the battery out of the phone. And the reason he'd
What?
taken the battery out of the phone was because he figured if they couldn't ping him and find him outside the county or the area he was supposed to be, then he wouldn't be
would
found
get
in
a parole
violation.
violation. Yeah.
Correct.
So
Yeah,
he's
What
being
sort of-
dodgy, but not
He's being
necessarily
dodgy.
about Jolene.
correct. He's just, And they said that when they spoke to him about Jolene, he did seem genuinely concerned. He said that he loved her. But when they were talking about the probation stuff, he was terrified. But when they talked about Jolene, he was like, I just want to know where she is. And so through some investigation, they were able to check out his alibi, which was actually that he'd been in Jacksonville and with his father, and his father had driven him there. And whether or not you can believe his father or not, that was his alibi, and it did check out. So that means both the Jasons, thankfully for you, Clarkie, have been ruled out. They don't seem to know where Joleen is, and both of them seem genuinely
Enter
concerned about.
Jerome.
So both of the Jasons have been ruled out by the detectives.
And does that mean that they're now out of the story completely, never to be spoken of?
Pretty much, yeah. You don't have to worry about. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you can relax now. We can look at some other letters. The detectives head back to the salon to find, seeing as that was the last place that she was seen, they're going to do a bit of a sweep for some evidence, something, anything. And whilst they're there, the boss takes a call, I think, from Jennifer Siebert, and she said that she's not coming back to work. She's quitting because she can't possibly be involved in anything that's near a police investigation. She's trying to be on the run from this ex-boyfriend who is a stalker and a computer expert. He's after her, so she says she'll mail the key back, and that's kind of the end of that.
Has anyone looked into her at this point? Because she's
sounds
sounding dodgy as.
Not yet.
She'll mail the key back. Like, couldn't she just drop it off?
Well, she just can't be around.
When the
She can't be
cops aren't
involved.
there?
Well, has she reported this computer expert partner, violent partner?
We're on
Maybe a
Not
one
at this
more.
point, no.
We're
not
on
that
to
we know of.
Jennifer.
So she's just saying shit to the police.
Keeping an eye on her.
But there has been a breakthrough, and the breakthrough is that Jolene's car has been located.
Oh, good.
So they had sent out, some advice to everyone to look for it, and it was located at the Home Depot car park. A tip-off, I think it was an anonymous call came, but someone called, so I think the car's in this car park, and it was verified, and it was just 2.3 miles down the road. So it was kind of like, I saw a map of it. It was literally, if Tangle's hair salon's here, and they're all sort of in strip malls, so think of that. And then it was a straight line down the highway into the Home Depot car park, drop it off. So there was very short distance between Home Depot and Tangle's. And when I say short distance, like a really simple drive, it was a straight up
5-minute drive, yeah.
They went to see if there was surveillance for that car park, which of course there was because Home Depot.
That's good.
Probably quite a lot of it. And what they were able to find was that you could see Jolene's car being driven into the parking lot at Home Depot at about 1 a.m. on the 13th of May. So remember, she's gone missing on the 12th of May. It was actually from a nearby bank, had the surveillance camera. And 1 minute after it enters the car park, they can see a figure dressed in black exits the driver's side, but you can't see much more. That they end up sort of behind trees, whatever else. But then they can see where the person's picked up again on the another camera, and that person, although they can't tell who it is, you can see the figure walking to a nearby gas station. And then that person walks directly into the gas station, and once they're in the gas station, it's as clear as day
Totally
who that
visible.
person is.
Yeah, what an
all
idiot.
dressed in black, and it is crystal clear footage as a woman walks into the gas station, and it's Jennifer Siebert.
What an idiot. To go to all the effort of taking the car, dressing in black, and then I'm just going to, she may as well have done a little dance in front of the CCTV as well.
Yes. So whilst that
Yes.
that piece of information is being found, because obviously it takes time to go through footage and stuff, they have returned to the salon, and fortuitously, because this never seems to happen in crime world, but the salon had been closed since they had left on the Saturday afternoon. No one had worked there. Do you know what I mean? Because Saturday afternoon, Sunday it's closed, and Monday it's closed, and so forensically it was as it was when they had left, and then. So it becomes a crime scene, and they put the luminol down, and it is just
blood everywhere.
As the detective said, I've now learned my crime is now I'm working on a homicide because it's clear that someone's been murdered there. There's just blood splatters everywhere. The horrors are revealed, kind of thing. Their number one priority at this point is to find Jennifer Siebert. Surprise, surprise. So they send a sample off, try and get the DNA back to confirm whether it was Jolene's DNA, and they released details of Jennifer's vehicle to see if they can try and find her. And whilst they do that, they are able to ping her phone. Her phone is still on, and they find it located in nearby neighbouring county of St. John's. So in speaking with the boss and other people, they find out that the address that she had supplied to the salon, Tangles, didn't exist. She was actually transit, so she more often than not was living in her car. So the false address had been given, and detectives are now searching for a black Kia in St. John's, and they actually find it quite easily because they know that she's probably trying to hide, and they find it in a I think you call it lay-by, I'm not sure, but like actually maybe a truck stop. In a truck stop, and she's got this small black Kia parked in between two semi-trailers, so she's hiding in there. So the detective calls for backup, and some other detectives arrive, and they approach the car, and when they get there, she's asleep in the car, so they, knock the
She
thing
lives
out.
in it.
She's not the sharpest tool in the shed, is
Not
she?
particularly. When she gets out, she's got a cut on her face, which she's got a plaster over. And they say to her, what have you done to your face? And she says, I was riding a bike and I rode into a tree. They're like, that would not be the kind of injury you
Did
sustain.
not.
That's from having, it's a cut on your face and you've obviously been in some kind of
From a pair of
fight with
scissors.
somebody, altercation. And then they ask her if she has ever been in Jolene's vehicle. And she says never. And then they arrest
You
her
lie.
there on
Yes.
grand theft auto for stealing Jolene's car because she had taken it from the salon.
Well, they've got no evidence she killed
Yeah.
Jolene. Or
Correct. So that's why she has been.
But they can
taken
detain
in
her.
for-
So that's
Correct.
good. Yeah.
They go back to the salon for further evidence, and they are able to find a camera which focuses on the dumpsters, the big, bins at the back of a strip mall. So you'll have all been to that strip mall where it's all front facing
It's all
to like
lovely,
the highway,
and then at the back
and
is
at the
all the
back
trash
it's like
and,
a road that runs along the back, and it's just a dump truck come on. It's all business out the back. And what they see in the footage is they see footage of Jennifer Siebert going or exiting the rear of Tangle's hair salon, and she's making repeated visits with big garbage bags
Oh, no.
to the bin for hours on Saturday evening, May 12th. However, a garbage truck collects the rubbish, because this is all obviously on the footage as well. A garbage truck had collected that rubbish 2 hours after Jolene's reported missing on May 14th. So they get in touch with the
local landfill,
the rubbish company, I don't know, the authority, to find out if they can locate where it would be. And they said, look, they had an idea, and so they were trying to isolate an area in which that truck would have dumped. But it's into landfill. I mean, it was just
very
horrendous.
difficult.
Yeah. So the authorities obtain a search warrant for Jennifer's car at this time. And they go to Jennifer's car. And in Jennifer's car, they find, remember she worked at a hair salon. They find her hairdressing scissors with some dark marks on them. And it turns out, because they've got the DNA test back, which confirmed that it was Jolene's blood in the salon, and it does match with Jolene's DNA, which is on Jennifer's scissors. And this is the bit I just can't get my head past. I can't get
Head around.
head around. That's what I'm after. There's also a receipt for Walmart in her wallet for the night of the 12th of May.
What's on it?
So they go to
A saw, rubbish bags.
go to
bleach.
Walmart, and they are able to have footage, and the footage is from directly above the
Cash
checkout
register.
counter, cash register, yeah. So you can see exactly what she's putting in, plus I think the receipts in as well, and Schmitty is absolutely spot on. She
course.
buys ammonia, large trash bags, gloves, and an electric carving knife.
Oh.
And what time is this?
This is late on Saturday night.
So she's done that presumably after the murder, not
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
This is
absolutely.
a clean-up.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
absolutely.
This
This
is
is
all
clean
got
up.
to clean up
This is
now.
clean
Yeah,
up.
no, I was just trying to work out whether she was premeditated or whether it was not.
Detectives then find footage that shows Jennifer returns from Walmart to Tangle's in a taxi, because I think she's driven.
Drove the car.
Thingo's
she's
car,
I
Jolene's
don't know
car
if that time
there.
track. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
Sounds that once she's cleaned it all up, she's got
Because where did you say the car was left?
In
Was
the
it
Home
Walmart?
Depot car.
Home
Home
Depot.
Depot.
Home
Yeah,
Depot.
so she's taken
Yeah,
her
but
own
they're probably
car.
next to each
Yeah,
other.
I think so. And then she.
Oh, I see what you
then,
mean.
then she has to get back
Yeah.
that way. I think she gets to get back. So once she's gone back to Tangle's, after she was there for over an hour, then they can see her going. Over an hour later, she emerges, and then she continues her trips to the dumpster, disposing of Jolene's body. So
God.
it's all done, and cleaning up and whatever else. So whilst Jennifer's in custody, they've had the DNA has been confirmed as
Analysed,
being as being Jolene's.
Jolene's. Oh.
And the DNA was obviously on the scissors, that matched that as well. The investigation into the landfill takes a little bit longer, obviously, and that is they get nothing, absolutely nothing. They had so many people out there, but
What
I mean,
a
I
job.
I'm not
saw pictures.
surprised.
You should have
It's
seen the
huge.
amount of
Tons
space
and
that they were given
tons,
to. Yeah. They said there was nothing that was evidentiary wasn't going to.
It'd be amazed. I'd be amazed if they did find
so it was
anything.
nearly impossible. Yeah. But that then leaves you with a murder without a body. And when you have a murder without a body, you need to have overwhelming evidence.
Yes.
It's looking pretty good so far.
Yeah.
Trial by one.
That's right.
Yeah.
She done it.
I can connect those dots.
So they go back and they start to speak to the staff, and they, to try and get a handle on, well, what was this relationship between Jennifer and Jolene? Where were things at?
Jealousy.
And
It's another jet word.
It's the jet word.
Jennifer was having a bad hair day, I reckon.
Jennifer was having a bad hair day, all right? You wouldn't want to come across her, would you? Initially, they got along really well, but that didn't last very long, actually. And by the end, they openly disliked each other. And one of the girls said that she thought it was perhaps Jennifer was jealous of Jolene. How many Janes are in that? Because she had all the clients. She was always busy, which meant she had all the money. And another co-worker, Anne Morgan, who was a lady who'd been there for 10 years, she'd been older.
She'd be being paid by a client, not by
she's
hour.
Successful.
Yeah, she's successful.
Yeah.
They said that she'd worked for 6 years with Jolene, and she said that the day before she went missing, Jolene and Jennifer argued. And she said that Jolene said, "Go away. I don't want to talk to you. You are fake. You are crazy. Go away." She wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
And then she said to Anne Morgan, she said, "Miss Anne, something about Jennifer is not right. I can't put," and she wrote, "I can't put my hand on it. She's not right." So she'd said that just before it happened. So she was starting to get these feelings. And the idea is that she perhaps knew something that, that others weren't aware of. So I guess the basic premise is that Jolene was saying, "You are not who you say you are, and I'm going to find out who you are." And then this is what we think has triggered Jennifer to go, I don't need you.
Me.
Yeah, something, who are you to say that to me? I'm not going to have, been on the run or be doing whatever I have for as long as I have and have you jeopardize that for me. 2 days after they'd had Jennifer in custody, so they're about to sit down and have another interview with her. And she seems really relaxed. So she says, so she's in custody in an orange jumpsuit. "I want to tell you, when you run my fingerprints through, they come up as Kimberly Lee Kessler. I was born in May of 1968, May 9th. I'm 50 years old. I've been running from the FBI for over 25 years." So it's kind of like, just to let you know, this is what you're going to find.
Don't be surprised.
It was totally an FYI.
Look, may as well let you know, before you get a bit of a shock,
Yeah.
I think you'll find
Yeah.
Did she then
I
go on
shot
to explain
JFK.
why? Yeah, that's
Kind of. She then says that she was born in Butler, Pennsylvania, and that she'd been an honor roll student. I was an honor roll student. I was a cheerleader. I had a great life. But then she said, "Mum started acting kind of crazy. So then, I had to get out of there. So I dropped out of school. And they ended up in Arizona, and I was working as what was I working as again? Oh, yeah, I was a topless dancer. And then she starts talking about some guy, and she said, then I started, I guess, seeing this guy. And then he would have people saying, the FBI are after you. And then he started telling me all this information I didn't really want to hear. And then he was saying that he'd been involved in a bank robbery. And she said, I guess what happened was, when the relationship was over, I had to change my identity and leave again because I knew too much and, he was after me. Anyway, so they're like, okay. So whilst they're...
Can you excuse me for a moment, please, Jennifer? As they go out of the room and go, "We've got a little bit of Looney Tune in here."
Yeah, we've got a live one here.
Woohoo.
So they sort of allow her to sort of run with this narrative, and she's basically saying, "Look, I'm a victim here. I'm on the run from a really violent ex who's wanted by the FBI. My whole life is me having to be on the run." That's where the story's at. So then she was pretty relaxed when she was talking about all this. Then they went and looped back in Jolene's name and said, "So where's Jolene?" Like, knowing that she's obviously been murdered. And she would just shut them down and turn up. She's like, I don't know. Like, I can't help you. Like, nothing. Changed. Her body language changed entirely. She's just like, I'm not even going to entertain that. Not even going to
Jolene
entertain
who?
that. Yes. Police were obviously able to quickly look into whether or not Kimberly was being pursued, and there's no record of that anywhere.
Now we've got a K name. It's easier for me.
Yeah. So Jennifer is Kimberly Kessler.
Is Kimberly, yeah,
Does that name exist?
Yes.
Kimberly was a person.
Yeah. She is
Kimberly
Kimberly
Kessler.
Yeah.
So 2 Ks. This
Yeah.
is it's all very hard.
Who is Jennifer Seibert? So Jennifer Seibert is actually, when the police looked into it, she was a 13-year-old girl who died in a car accident in Germany
Oh, God.
and was buried in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Right. So she's
But
found
had
her
the
name
same
somewhere.
birthday.
Mm.
Yeah. Not the same birthday, not birthday.
Day and
Yeah,
month,
day
and then
month,
she's just changed the
as
year.
Kimberly Lee Kessler. So then they get in touch with the Pennsylvania authorities and they say, well, actually, Kimberly Kessler was reported missing in 2004 when she was 36 years old. And what had happened was she had said that she was coming and going. Anyway, her parents, I think they allowed it to be like 8 years between, the last time they'd seen her when they reported it. But they did report her as missing. But the authorities there said, look, there's missing people and there's people who want to be missing. She's probably somebody who wants to be missing.
Runaway, yeah.
But they swabbed the woman who they spoke to her mother and they did a swab for her DNA and it checked out that she was Kimberly Lee Kessler now in Florida. They asked people who knew Kimberly what they knew of her. They were able to find a couple of old boyfriends. One said that she was charming. She could be very lovable, but she would snap. And then she was also extremely jealous. Someone else said she was controlling and at times very violent. One said that she'd stabbed him, but that she had bitten his dad on the leg. And in total, she had 17 different aliases and she'd lived across like a whole heap of states with different licenses. She'd just been kind of moving around and going from one place to the next.
17 aliases.
I still don't know why though. I don't know what triggered it.
Busy.
You don't find anything out about that. So 8 days after Joleen goes missing, we've got an alleged murder committed by Kimberly Kessler, who's been living on the run with false identities for nearly 25 years. But they're still unable to recover a body and we need the body for evidence. And it's at this point that they are able to find some crucial evidence on her phone. And her phone had hundreds of searches. And critically, the searches date back to April of that year, so, the month before. So some of the searches were Jennifer Seibert. So she's obviously looking up her own name, hair studio. And then one of them is co-worker guilty of murdering person, body not found. That was a search she'd made.
What?
Before. So she starts to look into, here we go, here's a quote. In April of
She's psychic.
2018, Seibert has spent some time researching Florida cases in which the body had disappeared. For the psychopathic Kimberly Kessler, no body meant no murder.
Oh, goodness me.
Okay, so when Cummings disappeared, almost a month later, Kessler tried to disguise her actions, but instead made crucial mistakes, which we've come to understand.
Did she just move on? Why did she have to kill the
no
poor
body, no murder was where her head was at in April of 2018. And then there's 400 searches that night or the next day or whatever else where she's trying to work out if it's gone into the press, what's happening, you know what I mean, where she's got her name in there, she's got Joleen's name in there, she's got, again, body found, body not found.
She needs to get better at keyword searching. I mean, honestly, you don't need 400 of them.
I'm with you on that.
Can you believe that, though? I
can.
That's a brilliant piece
almost manic at this point by the sound of it. Yeah.
So, despite nobody ever being found, on September the 7th, 2018, Nassau County indicts Kimberly Kessler on first-degree murder charges. However, once behind bars, her behaviour becomes increasingly erratic and violent. So she's just going to turn the nut job
True
up.
colours now, yeah.
Because it wasn't before.
Well, to be honest, if you saw her being interviewed and you saw her saying, the big reveal, oh, by the way, just because I don't want to put you guys out at all, when you run my fingerprints, you're going to find out, just so you know, you're doing enough work, don't put yourself out too much. Well, this is different. This becomes crazy, angry. She takes to throwing feces at the guards who are looking after her. She keeps it in a cup. She'll smear it on windows.
Silverback.
She cusses at them. She spits at them. It's all about, this sort of hyper aggressive. And that behaviour, of course, warrants enough concern that they conduct a mental health evaluation. You could see that coming a mile off to see if she's fit to stand trial.
This is so planned.
I know. The first psychiatrist diagnoses her with delusional disorder. And that is someone who maintains behaviours not based in any form of fact or reality. However, and I think it's quite fortunate that she was reassessed and people were coming in, or, specialists were saying, you can do that, but you can also act in a certain way.
Yep.
And when she was reassessed, they decided that, to be frank, she was probably borderline for lots of these disorders. But there was a quote here and it was, it was that she was more of a question of her will rather than her capacity due to mental illness. So she wanted to behave like that. She knew that would, take her down a certain path. And fortunately, the judge assessed her as being fit to stand trial. So in December of 2021...
Doesn't matter how much of your own shit you throw at people, love.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was one of her Google searches.
If I throw shit at people...
How to act crazy in jail, so I get it.
Well, they think I'm mad, yeah.
December 21, she goes to trial. So this is COVID times, right? So they've got the mask on. And it's shocking how different she looks. They wheel her in a wheelchair and she's extremely thin. And that's because she's been on a hunger strike. And it is just like she turns on the theatrics to such what she screams at people. She's yelling. So every time she was ever in court, she had to be removed for disruption. And the judge would just say, take her out. So she was always
that
in a room.
clown out of
she
here.
just really, when you think of textbook psycho, she's really playing it. And, there was none of that up until she got really caught. You know what I mean? Up until that point, she could maintain her psycho in other ways. Yeah, like I'm crazy, I'm raving mad. Look at me, I'm mad. Woo, yeah. Oh, look at me, I'm clearly mentally unstable. It's all that kind of. But she's so angry, like really
I'd be pretty
angry.
pissed off if people try to put me in
and
jail.
truly looks like a different person. Like she's aged hugely and so sunken and angry, and the eyes look. There's crazy down. That's what that is. The judge,
or is it?
Said that Kimberly Kessler was her sights were set on eliminating Joleen Cummings. That was what she wanted to do. So she was found guilty of first-degree murder, even without a body, on December the 9th, 2021. And she was also found guilty of grand theft auto. And she will be serving life in prison without the possibility of parole. She's in Ocala. I don't know if you call it that, Ocala. I've never heard of it. I've seen it, but I don't know how to pronounce it. She's in a prison in Florida.
I think Ocala's right. I think I've heard
Ocala,
that.
is
I think
it?
it's Koala.
Yeah, she's
Ocala,
in Koala prison.
Or Sarah, I don't know. Her daughter, so from that relationship she had when she went to cosmetology school, lives with her grandmother, and the two sons live with their dad, Jason Cummings. And
it's a shame.
That is the gruesome end to Joleen Cummings and just the horror that is Kimberly Kessler / Jennifer Seibert.
It all sounds very Pauper Spit, from Muriel's Wedding. Like, it just doesn't. I guess the beauty queen, the hairdressers, just I don't know. It's almost comical in a way.
To me, it's terrifying because I think of times in my life where I have had colleagues who have demonstrated behaviours that suggest that they're a bit jealous. I'm lucky I'm not dead, frankly, and look at you all laughing. But
I know exactly.
You can see where I'm coming from, can't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was only having my face scratched out of a photograph, but, I think these things can lead to other things, can't they?
They can. They can.
If that was a voodoo photograph, you could have had a very scratched up face.
Slippery slope, I tell you.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking, I feel a bit uncomfortable.
What's uncomfortable for me with this crime is there's so much stuff on the surveillance cameras. So you're really seeing her do it? But there's so much evidence,
the clean up and all that.
And you go from here to here. You buy your stuff to do that. You do that. You're back at the garbage bins. You're back at the garbage bins. Then you've run off. You've done that. You're going to return the keys. Like you're on the run again. It's sort of she's so I don't know. Like it's not shameless. That's not the right word. But just to think that she's going to get away with it.
What was she actually worried about coming out? How
that's the thing. I don't know. There's no back crime, so I don't actually know.
It all just seems so unnecessary.
That's what I think. I don't think that's a good enough motive.
No, I can't find anything.
I really didn't like poor old Joleen because, she had locks of flaming auburn hair.
That's the thing. If Joleen had found
my
something,
man just because you can.
I mean, honestly, it's awful. There's nothing. There's nothing in the story that says
it's
Joleen
frustrating.
was dating her
No.
boyfriend.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh no,
or
no
she
connection.
fancied Jason G or even Jason C or any other Jasons who could be in the show. There was nothing that suggested it was just someone who she didn't like at work. And going back to my original point, a bit scary. I've had a few of those.
There was in one of the articles that I read, allthat'sinteresting.com or something, there was a quote that I really liked, and it was talking about, this is the thing, that she was so many different people. It said in her car they found multiple false identities and identification cards revealing Kessler's counterfeit tour of the US. And I thought it was so true. She used 18 aliases across 33 cities in 14 states since 1996.
Do you think she just lost touch with reality? So she kept changing who she was, and apart from knowing that she was Kimberly Kessler, but she didn't even, correct me if I'm wrong, but she didn't even run away from home because she'd been involved in a crime or anything. She just
I don't know of any crimes
to leave, and then went, I need to hide.
Yeah, but they did say, I did see some on the documentary. They said that there was no evidence of the Phoenix. When she said that she worked in the topless bar. They said they didn't exist either.
She's some kind of fantasist. I think a lot of this is a fantasy, even down to why did she kill Joleen? There's some fantasy in her head that made her think that was what she had to do. Yeah. I think the woman's clearly mentally deranged.
A bit cray-cray.
Totally.
A bit more than a bit cray-cray.
And whack job.
You know, we talk about the things that you're left with. An electric knife, because that's what we're talking about, isn't it? The carver. Oh, yeah.
I mean, just going in, but don't you think if you were the person, maybe it was like self-check it out, I don't know, but if you went ammonia, beep,
garbage bag,
massive, I think it was like 40-gallon trash bag, beep, gloves, beep. Mm-hmm. Electric, carving on. Wouldn't you look up and go, what are you doing? Getting rid of a body.
What are you up to?
I wonder if that would happen.
Of course
you wouldn't. I used to work for a hardware store.
Oh.
And I must admit.
I'm sure you did. I bet you did.
Well, that was when I was
training
young,
ground.
right? So this is the thing. When you're very young and you don't think about these things, you're just putting the items through. You're not thinking, oh, that's a kill kit there, or that's a clean-up kit there.
Yeah, a clean kit.
I think an older person maybe pick it up, but I wouldn't have.
Maybe we should market a kill kit.
We should invent a murder meter that attaches to the register so that as you scan things, it goes, that could be.
The combination.
Ooh. And the combo. The more of them you get,
the combination.
Goes up and up and up. Ding, ding, ding,
well, the same thing happens
at
a pharmacy where you can't buy.
So
what's it called? Not counterproductive drugs, but something that
you can't have Gaviscon and Voltaren.
But what's the name for it? It's not counterproductive, it's something else. It's contraindicated. It is
contraindicated.
Yeah. But I mean, if they can do it in a pharmacy, to your point, why can't we do it down at Bunnings or Mitre 10 or whatever else? Go
rope,
beep,
hammer.
Beep. It's a low level beep when you're doing like garbage bags, ammonia, gloves. That's beep, 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 beep.
It stays
and then
green.
Its red siren starts going when it's
No. If I bought bleach, ammonia, bleach, garbage bags and gloves, I could just literally be cleaning up a hoarder's house.
I said low level beep.
But also,
in the combination,
then you scan the electric knife.
Oh, welcome. You've won an interview in our side room.
That's right.
If you'd like to follow us through, we've just got a couple of questions.
Have I? I never win anything.
Congratulations. You're our lucky winner tonight.
Oh, thank goodness. All right, cool. All right, what about sentencing?
It's a hard one because it's all just so unnecessary.
There's no real motive. You don't understand, right? It just happens.
Yeah, there's no psychological nut punch.
Nah, none of that. I know it.
I don't know about that. I mean, if this woman is a complete fantasist and she's running around with all these aliases and she's created some kind of amazing past for herself, I really don't understand why she's just decided to hate on Joleen so much that she's murdered her. But I do think, Swanny, I mean, this is your background or this is your favourite thing, but I'm sure there's some way we can strip her back to, I don't know, staying at home with her mum, like not going travelling, not running away, not living in a Kia, none of those things. Just stay at home and have an ordinary life like everyone else.
Being found out.
But found out for what? Like she left home for no reason, right?
You rate yourself as being a little bit more, I don't know if importance even is the right word, but special than you are, yeah.
Don't find out that I'm Kimberly because she's a mole.
Not running from anybody. You're not on anyone's radar. No one cares.
I've got it. I'm going to sentence her to Pauper Spit.
Oh,
where she just gets to stay in Pauper Spit. She never gets to leave. With all the cocksuckers, or what was the first thing we took? What were they doing? Cock measuring, obviously.
Oh, cock-offs.
Sorry.
Cock-offing.
It's making me think of Brock-offs. you know, in Pulper Spit where the cock-offs happen all the time.
Yeah.
And she can work at the Bunnings and she can just stay there and she doesn't leave Pulper Spit. There's no goodbye Pulper Spit. Great moment for her, defining moment. She just stays there and that's it. And you know what? She's not the beautiful one.
You can't talk to me like that. I'm married. I'm beautiful.
No, you're not, love. You're just Kimberly. Now sit down. She can be in charge of cleaning the tape measures, yes. There you go. That's my sentence. Pulper Spit for Kimberly.
I think I'm going to put her in a psychiatric ward. So because of all of her pretending to be crazy, but she's going to be in with the likes of Miggs, who's from Silence of the Lambs. Just a whole lot of really crazy people.
Character. Yeah.
If you want to play the game, little lady.
So correct. So
we've got real crazy people now. We don't need fake ones. You know.
And so she's going to be on edge for the rest of her life because the cray-crays might come and get her.
Do you know that's becoming a theme of our sentencing? I know I've done it several times where I've sentenced one person to hang out with another horrific murderer that we've come across.
We've got so many now, we can match
that's
them.
right.
We've got a matchmaking
my little kit
service.
bag. Excuse me, I've just got a little kit bag. I'm just going to grab out a Red Ripper here, maybe a John Wayne Gacy there.
You could probably buy a packet of Red Rippers in the supermarket.
True, yes. And some cheekies. Yeah. Oh, it's all a bit sickening.
Goodness.
What about you, Swanny?
Well, I thought I might end it on this as well. So when I read this, it really tickled me. I just thought, oh my God, of all the things you'd want to be known for, this would be punishment enough. And it's not because I particularly have a view on these things or not, but I don't think any woman would necessarily want this to be described for themselves to be described this way.
Oh.
So on the missing persons poster that would have come out in Pennsylvania for her when she was reported missing.
Right.
This is what it says. The missing poster says she was 35 at the time she disappeared. She was described as 5 foot 3 inches to 5 foot 5 inches tall and 130 to 140 pounds with blue eyes and dyed red hair. Here's my punishment. Her distinguishing characteristics were described as pronounced varicose veins. On both legs. Could I just check? Oh, no, it's not you.
I can't recognise her face, but if I can see her legs...
Oh, my God, I know who that is. Yeah.
Oh, I love that you pulled that one out, Swanny.
Her distinguished character. I had to sit on that because that's just really tickled me. Like I could just see my little thing with a little face with a smile going, her distinguishing characteristics were described as pronounced varicose veins on both legs and a leg that was broken during childhood at age 6.
And that's it.
That's her distinguishing feature, that she'd had a broken leg and that she had varicose veins.
Goodness.
So are you sentencing her to
that is the problem, isn't
broken
it?
legs and varicose veins?
No, the fact that that's what she's known as. Oh, is that the varicose veins lady? Oh.
In Pulper Spit.
In Pulper Spit, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that awful? There could be, and I saw a photo of her when she was younger, or there was one photo in particular. She looked really, really attractive in one photo. There was only really one really attractive photo of her. And then later years, not at all. But I tell you what, I'm sure someone could have said, she had a, fabulous smile or she had something. No. And to be clear, not one, two very pronounced varicose veins on both legs. I don't know a lot about varicose veins. I've got lots of things.
I'm sure they're not
varicose
nice.
veins is not one of them. That's not a problem that I have, touch wood. However, one thing I do think I know about varicose veins is standing up all the time is really bad.
Yeah.
So I don't think working in a hair salon is going to be good.
It's going to pronounce them even more.
Yeah. And I can't believe that's how we're going to finish this session. But just a thought to leave you with.
Yes,
if
that's
you've got
right.
varicose veins.
Maybe that's not the
it's a
career choice
public
for you.
service announcement.
Yeah, it's a PSA. Yeah.
Keep them hidden so they don't become your distinguishing features.
Your pronounced
thing that
feature.
people
Wear
can identify
pants.
you as a murderer for. Yeah. That was a good story. Sad, obviously, they all are. But, lots of twists and turns and varicose veins. Good on you, Swanny. Thanks for that. And boys,
No worries.
Well done.
thank you very much. And
Goodbye.
miss you already.
Love you long
Ciao.
time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Trial by Wine. You can contact us at trialbywine@gmail.com. Please rate, review and subscribe to Trial by Wine on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to support us, you can become a patron at www.patreon.com, Trial by Wine. or visit our website www.trialbywine.com to donate to us. Your support will help us cover many more cases and apply wacky sentences. We really appreciate you listening and hope you tell everyone about us. Our cover art is by John Christo and music is by Beauchamp from Pixabay.com.